Welcome to our new and exciting segment dubbed the username story. In this segment, we indulge you into the highs, the lows, and the achievements of making the username brand. My name is Sarah Wahogo, CEO at Username Investment Limited. At Username, we are one of the very few real estate companies where we embody proper corporate governance. We have a board of directors who are in charge of oversight as well as strategy. We have a secretariat who are in charge of the office functions. These are managers who are professionals in their own capacity. Thank you, Julius. Now, which are the lessons learned during this whole journey?
Well, Sarah, there are many lessons. I am not sure I would be able to highlight all of them today. There are lessons every day. You know, in a business setting, it's a journey. And every day you learn new lessons. So the lessons we learned during the very first days are not the lessons today. But looking back, I would say that one of the lessons that stands out until today, first is integrity. If one will succeed in any business setting or service offering, the first thing is integrity. Customers are looking for people they can trust with their money. Number two, do not chase money. I think there are so many people who actually start businesses because all they want to get is money. And you know, the question is, when you get that money, then what next? One has to be driven by passion and a desire to leave an impact and a legacy. In the real estate sector, we came in knowing that there's an opportunity and our young people are not able to own property. And therefore we came and said, okay, we can bring a model where young people can be able to get affordable property, but also give them a chance to own over time. Because you go to our banks and most people are not able to qualify for credit. The appraisal system is quite limiting, and especially if you don't have a pay slip. But still there are many young people who are not in formal employment and they have a dream to own a property. So we came in, provided opportunities. After that, we actually learned that you can lose money in as much as you are a good person and you mean well. There are people out there who are just, they are driven by quick gains. And therefore you will go and do all the due diligence that you can and hope that you've done a good job. But eventually, you find that you are not able to deliver. One example I would not want to go without saying. I remember a project where we bought land, we subdivided, we even transferred the land to Username. We had the mother title, only to discover later that that land had been fraudulently obtained. And you know, when you have a complex web of fraud that is perpetrated even by staff from registry, it's very hard to unearth that. Because the person you are going to use to conduct the official search, most likely they are involved. And therefore, the web is that when you go to do search, this person is well aware that we have sent this person. You will get good results. You'll even do transfer and then you have your own title. And to make it worse, we even advertised. 2 weeks later, we had an open day. We went and sold every other plot. This was a huge chunk of land. And so you have collected millions and millions of money. And eventually, the discovery that this land does not belong to you. You have paid the owner, or the purported owner for this matter. Then you realize that the real owner, the legitimate owner, was not even in the country. It was someone, a doctor in the US. That discovery was terrible. And when you are caught up in that, if your focus was just about money and what you can gain, you can make very quick decisions to disappoint your customers. But for us, the commitment towards integrity and building trust within the sector meant that either we reimburse our customers all the money and call them to explain how we were duped, or we actually engage the real owner. And that's what we did. We engaged the real owner, and that meant that we actually bought the land much more expensively, because this guy told us I was not planning to sell. And at first he actually thought we were part of the cartel out to steal his land. So I think one must be driven by a bigger goal to leave a legacy, to transform a society, to bring a certain solution, either through a product or service. The other lesson I would say is that manage money well. As I said before, we decided to do bootstrapping. And one of the things that I would say I've learned over the years is that hard times will come. And one of the good examples is COVID. No one saw COVID coming. And it was uncharted territory to most business people and everyone in the world, including governments. So I remember just before COVID came, we had traveled to the US and went to even South America, Brazil, Sao Paulo, and Rio. And when we were coming back, I actually believe we were already infected with COVID, the kind of symptoms you were having, and the fevers. So some of us were very sick, towards the end of that December. And COVID was already out there in China, parts of Europe, and the US. And then we come here, and in March, the first COVID victim in Kenya is declared. I remember Mutahi Kagwe, I almost said Mutahi Ngonyi. The PS then announced the first COVID victim and the measures that government would put into place. And all of us, we were thrown into darkness, because not going to work, the social distancing, and all of a sudden, money is not coming. And remember, we had outstanding obligations with vendors. There's some vendors who are supposed to receive money a month, 2 months after that. It was not easy. But I thank God that even during that time, during that standstill, we decided to actually go out and look for a project. Because some of the areas that we were selling, we didn't have projects. They were almost sold out. And I remember one of the projects that we were eyeing to have, we went, we negotiated, we agreed with the vendor and all that, and we brought it on board. But before we could even sell, there were road closures. You could not come out of Nairobi, you could not get in. And one of the roadblock was in Ngong, the other one was at Thika, and you look at it. Now, customers want to go and see the product, but they could not. And I was amazed, that customers were so willing to support the brand. We would even go with the customers, we would find police that were manning the roadblocks, and the customers would actually negotiate with the police on our behalf. And they would give them assurance that we are going just several kilometers from this roadblock, whatever you want us to leave, whether it's an ID or whatever, we are willing to do it. And whenever you do a good job, whenever you do things the right way and communicate with your customers, that loyalty pays. And I think that is one of the lessons that I got during that COVID season, because during that COVID season is actually when even our business boomed. Out of that, the fact that most customers were at home, they would actually be able to interact with information on our adverts online, and they really, really supported us. So there are many, many lessons that I would actually highlight, but I think for now, let me stop there.
Thank you, Joseph. Ruben, lessons learned?
I was thinking about that question, and I was wondering whether to share business lessons, personal lessons, custom. I think I'll mix some of them. There are those that are personal because this has been a journey, and there's also those that are more or less business lessons that I have learned through experience. I'll mix them. He's mentioned integrity, and I think I have to start there. We have been meeting with the stakeholders in the real estate sector. These are people who run other competing real estate businesses. And I also know, out of our 10 years, other organizations that went down, and I know the founders actually, and we interacted with some of them. And of course, sometimes we meet and some people are honest to share, and you realize that eventually, if the owners, or rather the people running the business, don't have a burden for customers, that business is bound to fail. That is integrity. Because for real estate, unlike other businesses, you first are paid, then you give, because for land, you can be given the land, but what matters is the title deed. You first receive the proceeds, then you get the documentation data. So that is a loophole that have been used by people who wanted to defraud others. Billions and billions of shillings, because they don't have integrity. Number two, when you get into trouble, because any company that has survived for more than 5 years possibly have gotten into trouble with some of these people who are fraudsters. And some of them are really shrewd, if I may use that word. They really have calculated their moves in a way that you really need to be very experienced to catch them. So if you are more than 5 years, you have experienced that. That tells you that those companies that are way older have handled these things. The only thing that helped them survive is the fact that people who are running them had integrity. Otherwise, and the problems are as big as they get. You can be a good guy, but the problem comes and it overpowers you, right? You really need to have integrity and that particular determination that I'm here to serve these people. And that's why a customer can smile. And I would like to say, most customers will never know the amount of stress some people go through to ensure they get a clean land and a clean document. Some of them may never know, and maybe that's why they are with us for this long. Until there's this customer who, you see, we usually cover transfer as a way of helping customers. If you tell a customer to go to the land registry today up at the house, they will come back with no results. This is customer who wanted to transfer for themselves, and we don't have that problem because that's your right. And then we sign the paperwork and we give them, and they use their lawyer, only for them to come back way later to tell them that the lawyer is not picking their call, the transfer was not done. They were trying to recollect the pieces. They realize how difficult it is. We carry a lot of burden on behalf of customer, and that is our job. Most of these jobs we do, it's more of a calling than a chase for money. Of course, the benefit will come. The money will come, the revenue, because it's a business, and the profits. But eventually, the amount of challenges you go through, the only thing that keeps you going is to know that I'm here to help someone else. We solve many problems, boundary dispute, court cases, and many things that we don't tell our customers. So for me, integrity is number one, even if Joseph has already explained it so well. Of course, the other things are personal things I've learned. These are business lessons. One of them is the power of investment. If you look at all these customers who came to us many years ago, especially in Gong where we got a lot of success, you can look at the prices we have today. I know some plots that are going for 2 million at the moment. When we landed there, because Username was the first to open up that area in Gong, we were selling the first project like 6 years ago for 150,000. You can imagine. And I know friends who bought at that part. So I've seen people buy properties, even in our projects in Nakuru, which we are selling for 399,000. The same is going for 800, and maybe even more than 1 million, because that is the wholesale prices. I've seen people change their lives. I've seen this customer who bought, I think is Joseph's friend. They bought in one of projects in Gong at we used to sell, and I know they negotiated at 900. They bought at less than that, only for them a few months later to sell at 1.5 million. Very easy, and others will do the same. There's a lot of power in the work we do, and that gives me a lot of pride to know that the work we are doing, the properties we are selling, at some point, they will be a key factor in somebody's success story. For me, that is important, and also in the personal life, I take investment very seriously, because even on a personal level, there are so many things I do. I've been teaching people about investment in my platforms over time, and this is an area I've seen customer excel. There's also the aspect of, in business, I have learned to be open-minded. When we started this business many years ago, we came with those thoughts that you have about how things are going to work. You think you are very right, until you calm down and realize that's not what the customer wants. There's that flexibility and open mind that is required for you to run any business. Even if people have gone to school, it is very important, opens your mind. But even when you try to do anything, even in life, not just in business, I think you have to apply an open mind to know that your vision may not change, but the methods you use might change in between. And you have to be open-minded to know, I can accept to go this direction for me to be able to achieve my methods. There are so many other lessons that I have learned. I think I need to stop there. If I keep going, I can give you even 10. But let me stop there for the moment.
Thank you, Ruben. Julius?
All right, thank you. On top of integrity, I think they have talked about that. I will not repeat, because that is very key for us in business. I will talk of 2 more lessons that I have learned. This may not necessarily apply to the username scenario, but also to other situations out there or other businesses. And the first one is about money discipline, or the aspect of separation. In the course of doing business, there's a very thin line between the business itself and the directors or the owners or the co-founders. And some people might misuse that difference that is there, that separation. And for me, I have learned that business is a separate entity altogether from myself as a person. And I have to have something called money business. We talked earlier on, I think we talked about the issues with money and how money is the cause of so many problems and evils. Yeah? And as an individual, the moment I realize, even if I'm the owner of this business, I have a separate life from the business itself. Whatever I get, if it's a salary or an allowance that I get from the business, I know that is what is entitled to me. Whatever else is there, even if you go onto the dashboard, you can see money is trickling in, customers are still paying. That's not your money. That is money that belongs to the business, and the business should be in a position to manage that money and deliver to the customers in a good way. That one is something that I have learned over the years, and I think it's something that has already helped us to separate ourselves from the business, such a way that there is proper governance as far as the business management is concerned. The other thing that I would talk about that I have learned is about the customer. I'm one of the people who are so passionate about customers. Whenever customers have issues, I really try to find out what is the exact issue with the customer, because at the end of the day, what I have learned is there is no business without a customer. All the businesses that you see here, all the businesses in the world, there is no business without a customer. Even if you have such an excellent product, you have better pricing, you have everything, but you don't have a customer for that product, you don't have a business. So whatever you do, if you're not serving the customer, if you're not working towards the interest of the customer, then it means you will not be in business. And I have come to learn about that, and in the course of business, we have had even some, it's always said that the core customer is always right. It may not be necessarily the case, but you need to let the customer know that they are right. So I have met with some even difficult customers who have turned out to be actually friends after the engagement, because you realize if this one customer goes, if this customer goes out there and says that I was not served in a way that is respectful, in a way that I would appreciate, that customer would spread that word to so many others, and those so many others will not come to you. It's very few people who, when you treat them very right, they will go telling others, maybe very few. But if you treat them wrong, they will go there and broadcast bad information about you. So for me, the customer is very key, and we have to ensure that we are customer obsessed in terms of the kind of service that we deliver. Sometimes you may go even out of your way, you may actually even go at a loss to ensure that the customer is satisfied instead of losing all those customers. Many years ago, there's, I think I was telling Ruben, I used to flight a matatu somewhere, and then those matatus were treating people very badly, such that a customer comes, either he or she is insulted, or maybe they are treated in a very bad way, and then they are called tanny boy, the conductor, would tell them casually, matatu hazina wateja, hata usipoingia kesho mwingine ataingia tu. And I would find that one to be very bad, because you tell this customer this one today, tomorrow you have another customer, you tell the same. At point will come when you even not have those customers, and other people will come into that business, they will offer better service than what you are offering. So any customer that you meet, you treat them like those, that is the only customer that you have in the world.
Thank you, Julius. My last question.
I wanted to add something I think is important to mention. This is not for the customers. I think this is personal. When we started the business, we shared our roles. The thing that landed on me without a lot of experience was human resources. So I had to invest a lot in trying to learn how this thing work, being so many things to so many people, and it was very challenging. And of course, over time, one of my key things was I wanted to ensure that people who come to use Anima, I was involved in all the interviews, all of them, up to very late. I think Jews in COVID time, I used to get involved because I was worried. We wanted to ensure that we create a culture where we get people who can perform. So one of the most difficult things is to know someone can be a good performer. So I was wondering what makes a good employee and all those things. Not just employee, someone who can really succeed in whatever they do, whether business. And if you look at our adverts for jobs for a long time, one of the first sentences we put there, and for me I consider it very important as a success factor in life, is self-drive. I realized that there are many things you can teach. You can do all the trainings you want to do, but if somebody does not have a drive, including your relatives, there is very little you can do about them. Very true. They can actually be very educated. But then you realize when somebody that is given an opportunity to do something, they are very reluctant. Can tell them, please send me your CV. And this guy got a first class. They take a week to send it. Then I wondered, what is the distinguishing factor between all these people? And it is drive. You can call it in many words. But when I was hiring, that is one of the things I was keen to find out. Is this person on themselves? Can they be able to do things by themselves? And I have learned that to be true over many years. If I go somewhere, if I'm able to determine this person as personal drive, not from outside, I usually know they can do everything else. Of course, integrity matters, but that particular drive matters for them to be able to achieve any other thing. And it works across board, not just for working, for entrepreneur, even at home. If you have a driven person, a driven kid, most of your things are so easy. They'll do things by themselves, and if they don't know, they'll try. Eventually, they'll succeed.
Thank you, Ruben. My last question, looking back today, what would you do differently? Joseph?
Looking back, I honestly don't think there is something I would do differently. The reason is because, the landscape is unpredictable. And as someone said, there is no MBA that prepares you for business enough. There is no amount of being in class that will prepare you for the unpredictable and the dynamic nature of business. There's a book I read some time back, The Hard Thing About Hard Things. And the book expounds on the reality of business, that no matter how much you prepare for the business that you are doing, there will always be surprises. It's like a wedding. You can spend a whole year planning for that one day of that wedding, but something somewhere will go wrong. You just have to be prepared and ready to sort those challenges with the right attitude. So looking back, I really wouldn't say that we should probably have started earlier, or I think I have this belief that all things happen for good at their own time. And I think when we started, that was the time that we were meant to start. We gave it our very best. We did all we could. We have burnt the midnight oil. Like someone said that entrepreneurship it's like 4 full-time jobs. I actually thought that when you're getting out of employment to business world, that you have some sense of freedom. There is no freedom. Indeed, you will find yourself working even double the time. The stress levels, the decisions that solely rely on you as a person. And if you don't make a decision, things have to go down. Business in its unpredictable nature will surprise you in that you will launch a product that you thought is perfect, and then it disappoints. From capital, from dealing with challenges in the industry, from the government regulations and taxation, nothing prepares you enough. And therefore I think I would say that I would just be available to learn, be willing to learn, and be able to give the best every day, such that at the very end of life, as someone said, it doesn't matter, it's not about the lives that, the years that you've lived, it's the life in those years. So to me, I want to look back and know that I gave my very best in the circumstances that were there. Having said that, this is my message to people out there. I know the Gen Zs and those people who are getting to the business world. There's always a feeling that there is not enough money to invest. But let me tell you, there will always be new taxes. In fact, someone said that two things are certain: taxes and death. There will always be new taxes, even come next financial year, and the financial year 2026, 2027. If you will be alive in 2080, there will also be new taxes and new bills coming. So what am I saying? You must make a deliberate decision to invest part of your income in securing your future. Some time back, I actually used to think that, I'm so young, there is always time and all that. And looking back when the government of 2013 came in power, 10 years went so fast. And by the time that those 10 years are ending, you actually realize that in your life you have also added 10 good years. If you did nothing within those 10 years, you always think that your payslip is too small. And I always tell people, budget your income. If you can maybe have 50-60% taking care of your day-to-day living, rent, bills, food, transport and all that, another 20% investing, and maybe another 10% saving, and another 10% allocated to other things. That would help you. So that whether you are earning 20,000 or 30,000 or 100,000, you are still able to do something and securing your future. And finally, as you look into that investment opportunity, always remember, look for value. And as username, if there is something that we made a commitment to, is to ensure that we deliver value to the consumer. It is possible that in this sector, you'll go and buy a plot for 300,000, but that plot, you should actually have bought it at 200,000. You buy a plot for 1 million shillings, but it should have been priced at 700, and that is what we do. We may not get a bigger margin, but we want to pass that value to you as a customer. Because I've seen so many customers coming and crying to me, I bought this plot long ago for 1 million shillings, I'm trying to look for a buyer, I'm getting even lower offers. The issue is that you bought that asset, yes, it was legit, you have a title, but you bought it at 5 years future value. And as a company, we always ensure that we give you a good investment in a very good location, well-researched, infrastructure and all other services are coming, but at the best possible price. Meaning, you go to Ngong, you bought a plot in 2018 at maybe 200,000. Someone is able to sell it at 5 times more. Even in some cases, 10 times more. That is the value of investment. In that you can be able to go, find that you bought a plot somewhere in our project in Nakuru, 2 years, 3 years back, 400,000. Someone tells you, I sold mine at 1.5. That's the value of investment. And so whether you are investing to own a home, for capital gain, or just to secure your future, with the username, you are with the right company.
Thank you, Joseph. Very insightful. Robin, respond to the same question and give us your final remarks.
Thank you. We can talk the whole day. This is an interesting topic. I was trying to think on what to say on top of what he has shared about some of the things I know would have possibly made a difference if they were done differently. There are not many actually, and sometimes I look back, and the other day I was celebrating a birthday. My birthday is in a few days actually, and it's a landmark birthday kind of. And I'm looking back and some of the things we have been able to do, and the last 10 years had been a lot of compressed success stories in between. But looking back, I listened to one of the speakers, and they were comparing the Western society and the African society. And they are looking at the difference in terms of ages of maturity, ages in which people are able to do things. And you realize in the West, you drive at 16 years, depending on the law of your country, and at 18 you're out of the house, even at 16. At 20, people are working and doing wonderful things. At 25, you hear somebody like Mark Zuckerberg is a billionaire, right? Those things don't happen in Africa. There's a reason for it. So using that comparison, and of course I'm also an African, I look back, maybe if I was in the West, I was just born in the wrong continent, possibly I would have started at 20. But you can't regret that. With the moment you know the truth, assuming you know it today, that is the moment in which you start doing things to change the course of your life. There was another study in the US, black communities and white communities, where they are behind. And somebody was saying that when a black man, and they were focusing on men, when a black man knows what they should have done, that is the time to die. Very sad. You are 70, that's when you realize this is exactly what you would have done, because economically they are behind. And I think it's the same thing mirrored in Africa. I'm sharing that story to say there are things that I think in hindsight, I would not have done many things differently, but there are things I know if I was advising my son or my daughter, I would tell them early enough, even when they are 20 years. The first thing is to know that you need to learn what I usually call life skills early enough. There are so many skills that someone needs, but in most cases you'll find in our society, like in Africa, most people are ignorant. They think they are okay. Until one day you go to a seminar for 2 days only, when you are 43 years or 44, then you are told something that would have set you apart when you are 23, then you are doing it at 45. You still achieve some level of success. What I'm trying to say, learning is so important, and learning that is focused, life skill. Right now I invest a lot. Hata kama ni Zoom nini, those short skills for me, there's one of them I learned I think in 2022 or something. And I realized there are things I would have known maybe in 2015 that would have made a serious difference, because I would have been focused. Not that I was foolish, of course I was investing in other learning, but those focused learnings on life skills. The other things is, which is related to learning, I realized when we did our first project in 2013, way before we left employment, we stayed for so long because there was, I think, was it a financing or something of the sort? We waited for so long until we got all the documents for us to launch that project, only to learn this other model. And then we realized if we had tried to find out how things work in the sector, network with a few people, not everyone will tell you the truth. Do some level of research, which is very important if you are getting into another business. Some people will share, if you come to Ruben about real estate, I'll tell you everything. If you go do it, I'll know you are serious about it. We would have done that project. Instead of 1 year, we'd have, I remember when we launched, we closed it in a month or less. We wasted a whole year just to know one thing. But of course, it set us for success for the other projects. What I'm saying, how many other things am I not asking from people that I might be doing wrong and I'm taking too long to achieve something very simple? And then you move way faster. For young people, you tell them, please, be someone who seeks knowledge, be someone who consults, be someone who finds out how things are working. It is okay to learn by yourself. But I think you'll take so long if you do those trial and error things when somebody can tell you what they learned in 5 years and then you do it for a month. Most likely you'll make a few mistakes, but not will not take so long like this other guy. I think the last thing would be there's something they usually say which is cliche, which I'll still say, also related to the same. I think it's about failing fast. If you have any idea in your mind, just like this black man, don't wait until you are 70. That's when, especially those people who retire, that's when they learn that Matatu's businesses, they don't work. That's when they put their pension in agriculture, and they try to, I've seen some of my parents somewhere trying to do that, and I feel for them. That's when they learn agriculture is very difficult. You try to do farming, it keeps eating your money, you're not getting any profit, right? Then they, after maybe sinking like more than $500,000, that's when they are washing their hands. Then I look at that person and say, what if they tried that when they were 30 years? They would have known the truth long time ago, not now. So my point is, some of the things that I know I would have done with way more speed is to try some things. Try them so that you know whether they are working or not. If they are not working, you don't try them at 55 years, 60 years, when the diseases have locked in and you can die very fast. You can take a lot of pressure at 25. If it's working now, you have a foundation in which to build more success. I know people who started their organizations for, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're not, it's not a problem, at the age of 25. By the age they are 35 and they still look young, they have 10 years experience, they have made enough mistakes, and they know what works and what they can build upon. As we started when we are 30, more or less, to look at the point at which you really started doing real business at 30. But like I said, I will not wish I was in another country, and God put us wherever we are for a good reason, and you have to figure out within where you are. But I would say, I think it's good to always try things. The earliest you know, that is the best way to go. If it works, you'll be very happy because you know something that you can build upon. If it doesn't work, you remove it from the list of those things you'll try at 70, and your sugar level will go up.
Thank you, Ruben. Julius, looking back, what would you do differently in your parting shot?
Okay. Honestly speaking, I don't think there is anything I would have done differently as per se that would make a very huge difference. However, there are instances that you look back and you feel, if I did this and that, probably it would have helped, yeah? And my colleagues here have talked about running early enough and knowing what needs to be done or what needs to be executed. And from a business perspective, I think if you look at it from the analogy of a young mother having a child, yeah? This is their first child, for example. Every time they have this child, or maybe they are leaving the child, they feel as if the child will not be in good hands. They don't feel like leaving that child alone or with someone else. And they keep on trying to see, has my baby been fed? Has my baby been washed? Has my baby prayed or all that? All those many things, yeah? They don't feel like someone else can be able to handle it, yeah? And at some point in business, especially for startups or businesses that are starting, for many people that is the case. You feel like you are the only person who can be able to handle that business or to handle that section of the business that you are handling in a best way or in the best way possible. And you fail to understand that there are others who can even be able to do it much better for you. You get overwhelmed such that you even lose some opportunities. We have lost opportunities, or we have had opportunity cost in some situations as a result of getting overwhelmed that you are not able to make a decision instantly on something that you need to do. And looking back, maybe if I say like the issue of delegation, if you're able to start a business and you're able to delegate early enough, you'll be able to have an opportunity even to make decisions faster. You are not overwhelmed. You just need to release yourself from the business and know that there are other people who can even be able to do it much better than you can be able to do. You may be talented in a certain area, But that doesn't mean that is the only area that you can be able to cover. Someone else will be able to come and cover for you there as you look for someone else, for something else. My part in short. My part in short now, I'll give it as a story. But I'll say it's a common phrase that is being used nowadays. Kupumzika ni biguni. Hapa duniani hakuna kupumzika. You only rest when you are in heaven. Or that. What I mean is, many years ago when you were in school, you used to be told, work very hard so that you can get out of school, get a good job, and you relax. Only to find out when you finish and you get a job or whatever you are doing, even if you're in business, you are not relaxing. Actually, you have a lot of pressure. That is when you have a lot of pressure, a lot of obligations, and a lot of responsibilities. Out of that, you say, now after I get, I'm not employed, I'm in my business, I'll have all the time. I can even sleep until 9 a.m. or even 10 a.m. I can watch movies throughout the day. You find it doesn't work like that. You actually find yourself even more busy, and people would be wondering, you just told us the other day that you resigned from where you are working. Why are you not available? People would not understand. But you are so much glued into what you are doing. And that's the point I wanted to bring home. You don't relax at any point. Whatever you do, you keep on moving. You keep on doing something. You never say that this is the time to relax. In the course of doing your job, in the course of doing your work, in the course of doing your business, enjoy while you are at it. Yeah.
Thank you, Julius. I really want to appreciate you for creating time to come and chat with us. It has been truly inspiring, and we appreciate that you created time out of your very busy schedule. From the bigger team, we want to appreciate you for the opportunities that you've created. The decisions you made earlier on in life have impacted our lives. Not only our lives, but also you've been able to create employment directly, indirectly, and most important, we have been able to provide homes to Kenyans. So we have come to the end of the session. Viewers, you have heard it from the horse's mouth. See you in our next episode.